transition is with us, and it's here to stay. Global economics, technological changes at the speed of light, and social values that are changing faster than any time in the past. To help guide you along your journey in this fast-changing life, the show with a purpose: to empower, to enlighten, to educate, and to entertain. The show that offers you a friend, a guide in the most transitional time in the history of the human race. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Steve Beaman.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to this edition of the Steve Beaman Show. We are, as always, pleased that you've chosen to join or spend your time with us, and we've got a truly interesting show for you. We are on the Q word this week, so as we go through the show, we're going to be talking about Q, aren't we, Carol?
Q is a really hard word to come up with. Isn't that somebody in a James Bond movie, Q? Wasn't he like the bad guy?
Yeah, no, I think he was the guy that gave him all the stuff, all the fancy stuff, Q.
Oh, well, you know what? That's us. We're your Q. We're here to equip you for success.
There you go. That's kind of a Q-ish type word. So, as you go through the show with us, we've got some good stuff. This first segment, we are talking right away about quality versus quantity. And then throughout the show, we've got some interesting things for you, not to mention, of course, the bottom of the hour time with our favorite word. So, Carol, this week, we kind of start off looking at what is a life issue of quantity versus quality. And boy, does that transition through every aspect of our life.
Every aspect. It hits all the five paths, too, Steve. It really would. You could have quantity physical, quality physical. You could have quantity emotional. A lot of emotions, but nothing that's benefiting you. You could have intellectual. You could have a bunch of stuff downloaded in your brain, and what does it do for you? And that's what kind of we were talking before the show. What is the Steve Beaman Show here to do for you, our listener, our friends? Well, we're here to equip you with success.
Absolutely. It's all about the quality of what we do, although we do tend to throw out a lot of quantity, too.
Well, hey,
you get the best of both, I guess. You get some quality and some quantity thrown into one. But truly, the genesis of this article, and again, you can go to stevebeaman.com and see all these articles, but the genesis of this is this thought that, as we go through life, and as you and I transition a journey of life in a time of need, we have to make adult decisions on, do we want quantity or do we want quality? And it's on everything. So when you look at emotions, do we want quality time with our kids or the quantity of time? And who makes that decision?
Right. Well, that's huge. You just said that. And I know that was a big buzzword in the 90s. Oh, I spend quality time with my kids.
They didn't ask the kids. The kids would have said quantity is the measure of quality.
Well, you know what? I think in kids, I think both, especially when they're young. I think you need a lot of time with them, and you need to pour a lot of quality, good, empowering time into them as children.
Absolutely you do. But so you come into the physical path. One of the things we're going to talk about in the Master Your Life segment is this idea of quantity of exercise versus quality of exercise.
Hey, some people work out 5 hours a day.
And some of us don't. Some of us get the same benefit from working out shorter periods, and that's the goal.
Right.
So as you come into even your spiritual path, are you deep into the quality of what you're learning and where it guides you and gives you depth? Or are you just concerned with the breadth of issues that maybe makes you feel good for a day?
You're showing up to church, just sitting there, not really taking the quality of the information. One of my favorite lady preachers is Joyce Myers, and she says, just because you come to church doesn't make you a believer or a Christian. She goes, if you sit in your garage, does that make you a car?
Right. And well, the sad thing about that, too, is that when you're not drawing that quality out, it's you who suffers. On almost all of these issues, you look at going back to the physical path. I had dinner last night at one of the restaurants here in Chicago. And if you think about the quantity they serve or the quality, I'll take the smaller portion with the higher quantity because I'm old.
So you're not a buffet kind of guy, Steve,
No, but there you go. Kids, they love the quantity, right? They just see this big plethora of food out there looking at them. They get all excited and happy. But the parents going, I just want one thing I like.
Well, that's how I am, though, sometimes. I like to have choices. So I kind of do but then you start eating the food and it's garbage food. It's not a good quality cut meat or whatever.
Right.
Hey, you're listening to Steve Beaman, and Steve Beaman, let's talk about you, because you've lived a quality of life that is superb.
I've lived some quantity too.
Well, that's a good thing.
Half
That's
a century of it.
Okay, stop. 50's the new 30.
Yeah,
so
I know.
just stop with the age thing already. I'm not even going to talk to you about age. Age is nothing. Age is a number. But you've lived a quality of life. You started from meager middle
A
class
very humble means,
humble
yeah.
means, and you've created a life for yourself and your family by doing a lot of these quality things.
The reason, Carol, that I started the whole thing of the 5 paths is that I believe the life I've lived can be a role model for others. But in order to be there, they've got to subscribe to the idea that your emotional path has to be solid, your intellectual path has to grow, your spiritual path has to be comforting, your physical path has to work for you. All of it comes together, the outcome of which is this very successful financial path.
Well, and you know what? You did that for your own 6 children.
I did. I've done it for my life and for my 6 children. So I believe in this stuff. It's why, we were asked once, why do you guys get so excited on the show? And it's because this stuff's real. Everyone listening to us can become a part of this success movement and become a part of what we're trying to do by subscribing to building your paths.
Steve, success is a weird word, though.
It's an S word, and we're on the Q word. How does that
I
work?
know, but there's a quality of success, and there are quality things in success, like your health.
Oh, we talked a lot about that because Carol brought up something very interesting to me, and we were talking about this, this idea that we're out to help you with success. And then Carol's first thought was, can't we add something to that because we don't want it to be simply financial success? Aren't we out for holistic success?
Well, I think a lot of people hear success and say, "Oh, they're just not money, greedy people." I'll share something with you very personally, and listeners, this is very personal to me. Back in 1980, I don't know, 3, 4, whatever. Back in the day, I had a friend who was reading Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
And he's like, wouldn't you like to have success in life? Wouldn't you like to live an abundant, successful, rich life? Well, this was right after the 70s, people that have
malaise.
Right, you're greedy people. I go, a lot of people that have money have a lot of problems. Their lives are all goofed up. No, I don't, because we saw the Kennedys and all that they went through and all this other stuff. Guess what? Think and Grow Rich is about a holistic, it's your mind, it's your spirit. Success is more than just money. It's your mind and your heart and your soul and where you're really coming from. Money is a byproduct of all those other things.
Bingo. And that's when the 5 paths originally started, and I'm sitting around with my kids when they're growing up, and I'm talking about the 4 legs they have to a stool, right? Emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual health. And I'm talking to them about this because when they're sick, they lose the physical thing, right? But they retain their faith, their knowledge, and their comfort of the emotions. My point being, there were really 4 legs to that stool of life I thought about. Money only got added when I started talking to adults because money is an outgrowth of those other 4.
Absolutely.
And it's a necessary path that often gets derailed, and that takes the other ones down.
Now let me ask you something. This is kind of often maybe silly, and it is probably silly, but versus quantity and quality of money. Can you have? Is there such a thing of quantity and quality of money?
You betcha.
Really?
Absolutely.
Educate me.
Well, let me give you a perspective on that.
Okay.
I've always, my life, wanted enough money to have a house that I liked, clothes on my back that I liked, transportation I could trust, food, enough medical care, education for my kids. Too far above that, and I mean, you go to the 100 million level.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Well, it sounds better than it is. What happens oftentimes, not always, but often, is that money gets control of that person. And they become living to the image of the money. It's a very different world. And I never wanted it.
So like my grandma said, money could be the root of all evil?
The love of money certainly is the root of all evil.
And the love of money.
And the challenge is to balance that quantity versus quality. Sure, I want enough quantity to be happy, but I want to not be devoted to earning it. I wanted to spend time with my family. I wanted to do the quality things of living that oftentimes are in conflict with the quantity of money.
How many people have sold their soul and their health just to go chasing after money? And
Absolutely.
they've lost everything else.
And again, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I will tell you that attitudinally there's no difference. It's easier to have money than not, But no, your life, the other paths are still where they are. They are independent of the financial path.
I am really excited about what we're going to be talking about. We're really going to hammer home a lot of this quality and quantity in our physical path. And you've got
we're on our third physical path.
third physical path week, yes.
Yeah, next week we change. We'll probably go to the emotional path. But for this week, yeah, you're right. We're going to touch on this quality versus quantity in the physical path. We've got a beautiful Q word that we think is empowering to you. All of this geared toward giving you the tools to succeed. We want you to enjoy our success. We want you to come with us on our successful journey. We want you to enjoy this thing called life. It's why the Steve Beaman Show was created and why we're here for you. So coming up next, we're going to be down the physical path, and we're going to talk about the Q issue on the physical path.
Can't wait. Hi friends, Carol Parisi here. If you're like me, you're always on the quest for improved sleep and more energy. I discovered the secret to getting this. It's tart cherries and their restorative powers. It's been found that tart cherry juice, like the Cherry Bundy brand, could help to relieve aches and pains, provide faster muscle recovery, and help you get a good night's sleep. The science shows that tart cherries and Cherry Bundy are rich in antioxidants that help reduce inflammation in the body. These antioxidants also work to reduce exercise-induced oxidative stress to help your body recover faster. Tart cherries also contain naturally occurring melatonin, known as a key ingredient to a good night's rest. To learn more about the science behind tart cherry juice, check out choosecherries.com. It's full of data from independent research studies. My favorite tart cherry juice brand is Cherry Bundy, which you can find at cherrybundy.com, spelled CHERIBUNDI.com. And tell them Steve and Carol sent you.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Steve Beaman Show, where we enter the Master Your Mind segment of the show, where we are talking today about this Q effect, quality versus quantity as it relates to your physical path. You've done a lot of training with people, and you certainly, Carol, know the difference between quality and quantity.
Well, yes, there is a lot of there's a difference in a quality good workout and then just doing a bunch of reps half-heartedly.
Well, am I nuts, or didn't they come out a few years ago as they studied all the high-intensity stuff, and they said if you do a proper high-intensity workout for 15 minutes, it's better than an hour on the treadmill?
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
You say that, so absolutely, but I didn't know it.
Well, you called it, now I never heard of this, the Tabata protocol.
The Tabata protocol. Yeah, that's part of the whole concept of high-intensity training where, again, instead of working out for an hour, you maybe give 15 minutes, but you do it on a super accelerated basis. So you run your heart rate up and down and up and down, and it actually stays with you longer than had you just gone out and done a typical cardiovascular aerobic exercise.
Well, that sounds kind of like whatchamacallit training. There's a name for it. It's skipping my brain right now.
That's right. We all have that. I mean, sometimes our brains lock up. I can't tell you how many times that happens to me. You know when that word's going to come to you.
It will come to me, and I will say
it. It'll be.
But yeah, it's killing me that I can't remember it. It's right
but even
here.
Like last week we talked about Pilates and a lot of that whole body concept.
But Pilates is a quality workout because you are putting that mind into the muscle, and you are deploying two of the three quality principles of fitness too. Interval training is what I was thinking of, by the way.
You're exactly right. Interval training, or this high interval training, the idea is, let's assume you're going to go on one of these elliptical machines. Rather than just doing 45 minutes or an hour at a steady pace, go on it and every minute alternate between I run up real hard and do a sprint and I run down.
To get your heart rate going.
I run up and I run down.
Well, there are interval trainings that you go ahead and you incorporate, and I forgot the name of this protocol, but you go ahead, you do your high intensity training on your elliptical machine or your treadmill or your bike, then you get off and then you do a set of weights for your muscle. And then you go back. I mean, so
there's a lot you can do, but I guess the reason I find it so important, I don't like to work out. I just don't. It takes time. It takes energy. I don't feel better about it. I'm like, I just want to go to bed. But if I can put into a short period of time through really extreme work, what I wouldn't have to do longer times on not so extreme work, I'll do that any day because it gets it over with.
Well, you know what? And I will say something. Personally, I love being on my treadmill. I love being at a nice clip where my heart rate is good. And I'll watch a video. I'm a real big one with the teaching company. There's a lot of great classes that you could learn. So instead of just sitting dumbing myself down watching the idiot box, I could be on my treadmill, have my heart rate up, and also
It's a
deploying my
productive
brain.
use of the intellectual path tied to the physical path.
Right.
And we talked about the mind of an Olympian, how they bring all of these things together. Why can't we all be that way? And I know everybody's going, it's not as easy as you say.
Yes,
I
it
get
is.
that.
No, it is.
Well, it's a matter of training your mind to just go down these paths.
I was reading an article just this week. How many people just sit around and watch the television? They'll just sit and watch. If you get up during the intermission, during the commercials, and you just jog in place during that commercial, do you know that is like this interval training? And that's a
Absolutely.
quality time
It is.
that you could spend while you're doing the quantity time watching television, whatever it may be.
It's little things that make all the difference. It's the idea of taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Oh my gosh.
It's all of this stuff. Again, you don't have to throw lots of quantity into your physical path to get healthy. You've got to throw some real quality into it. And that can be done through high-intensity training, the Tabata protocol, a good aerobic program. Like you're saying, just get up in the middle of the TV and do something.
You know what I have in my family room? I have this little step, and I'll just sit there, and my husband will watch TV, and I'm on the stepper because to sit down, they say sitting is the new smoking.
Well, and you have to understand who Carol is. I don't think she's capable of sitting down for more than a minute.
It was
and
the
a half.
kid the teacher would make go walk around the hallway because I have a lot of energy, but thank God I have a lot of energy.
I'd rather have a lot than none.
Exactly. And you know what? When my energy is directed in a quality way, I get a lot of great things done.
We've talked about that, though, right? We live in a world that's incredibly complicated, and there's a lot going on. We've talked about this transition that we're experiencing, the political environment that's out there, the economic environment. All of this stuff drives down to where you spend your energy.
Right.
You can expend a quantity of energy spread out along all this stuff, or you can do quality energy on building a successful life for you.
Right.
And so as you're in your physical path, the question you've got to ask yourself is, am I out for quantity just to show that I'm doing it? Or do I really want to use quality time and make myself healthy?
Steve, I just want to say something, okay? First of all, there are 3 components of exercise. Carol Parisi is a certified personal trainer, have been since the 90s. There are 3 components to exercise, okay? And I got to hammer this home because this is totally a success tool.
So this is a real takeaway here on the Steve Beaman Show from something that Carol's going to bring up on quality versus quantity on 3 things that I should walk out of here with.
Yes, 3 things. There's 3 components to fitness. One is flexibility. Okay, you need good quality flexibility, and it's going to take you through everyday life things like picking up your groceries in a way where you're not going to pull something.
How many people are hurt when they slip on the ice or
getting out of your
stretch
car?
something? Yep.
Exactly. If you're flexible, you're going to slip on that ice, but you'll be able to get your coordination back. Okay, so you have flexibility. You also have this cardiovascular thing, which is good for your heart. It gets your blood going. It's good for your blood pressure.
Yep.
You want good quality interval training, this Tabata method, that's going to help. And then there's also strength training. So many women would say to me, Carol, I don't want muscles. I don't want to look like a man. Ladies, you don't have testosterone. You don't want to have what it takes to look like a man. You're going to help yourself. You're going to help your bones and your connective tissues. All 3 of these things put in a quality program done in 3 to 5 days a week is going to give you a more quality of life.
So
too.
let's take away very real. And Carol and I've talked a lot about you and a lot about us in the show. We want to make sure you have takeaways. Number 1, flexibility. Number 2, aerobic. And number 3, weight training.
Yep,
And strength. Because we want to be in shape. We want to be able to play with our kids and our grandkids. And again, everybody has a different deal. I get that. But you know what? If you have the physical ability to start doing something to build a better physical path, I guarantee you the rewards are overwhelming. More energy, better attitude, more money. And it will. All these things drive to this.
They're symbiotic.
Better emotional health. It'll bring you closer to who you are. It pays off.
Well, Steve, you know what? I know that you are the master of money. You've put this together, this 5 paths of success. What are the 5 paths again? And what do we do?
Emotional health, intellectual understanding, physical well-being, spiritual growth, and financial health.
And this week's our last week of the physical.
Yep.
So with that being said, if you're sitting around watching television during the commercial break, get up, move around, do something that'll help you.
Take it seriously. Get a load of your life and live a successful life. Live a life that you dream about living. Live a life that you've always wanted to live. It's there. You can grasp it right now. We watch people, our whole lives who go out and they live the life we want. I'm telling you, it's within you to do it.
Well, it's all up to you to do it. It's all inside of you. And if you need coaching, we are here to equip you for your success, whatever that means to you. If a success means to you, you want to be able to walk a half hour without being out of breath, call us. We can equip you to do that in a quality way.
Absolutely. It is what it's about. We're out to equip you on these 5 paths. Guess why? So you can go out and live a self-fulfilled life, a self-actualized life. You can, the old phrase, get out of that rut and into the groove and start living the kind of life that you want. Our faith system, and we have 3 programs on the spiritual path coming up. We're going to talk a lot about faith. Carol and I both, we come out of a Christian faith. There's a good deal of scripture that supports the idea of healthy, holistic success. We're going to hit on that because it's not something to be ashamed of. I don't think that's all of scripture. There's a lot more we'll talk about with that, but it's clearly partly there. And we want to bring it up. It's a goodness people can enjoy, and they want to come back to the Steve Beaman Show each week because that's what we talk about, and we empower them with that knowledge.
Enrich your life with quality things.
Absolutely.
The physical path is part of that. Steve, we're going to have a word coming up, aren't we?
We absolutely are. Coming right up, we've got our Q word. And again, this is something we think about every week that you can take away from the program. You can empower your life. You can go down that path to success a little more. So the Q word this week follows on last week when we did passion and
purpose.
Thank you. I forgot purpose. It slipped my mind. So the Q word has a lot to do to move forward on that. So when we come right back, we're going down the Q word.
Let's go.
A funny thing happened over the past years. Responsibility for retirement got shoved onto your back. IRAs, KIOs, 401ks, and all the other alphabet soup of investment options were thrown to you with the happy statement, you're now in charge of your own retirement. The problem is, money doesn't come with an instruction book. Well, here's the instruction book with no biases, no conflicts of interest, a pure purpose to promote and provide financial education. Welcome to the Society to Advance Financial Education, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization created and sustained to help you, real people in the real world. When you need a friend in finance, someone to explain things and make them understandable to you, you need SAFE. We have spoken to hundreds, thousands of people in transition, men and women dealing with retirement, college planning, divorce, death, transitions of all kinds, and we are there to help. Visit safefinancial.org on the web and become a member. Let our educational tools help you. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to this, the Master Your Word segment. Hey, we wanted to mention, by the way, since it is the Q week, we let that segment extend a little bit out on the Queen song, didn't we?
Queen, yes.
Right, you get that. It was a Queen song. But
yes.
We are sponsored in the Master Your Word segment by our friends at Cherry Bundy. I'm telling you, folks, I got into this 4 months ago, whenever that was. I drink them every day, and I feel great.
Got the Cherry Bundy Challenge.
We offer coupons to everybody who wrote Carol at stevebeaman.com. So go ahead and do that anytime you want. Just send Carol a note with your name and address, and we'll pop you out a coupon.
That'll be great, Steve. Hey, so we've got a conundrum here.
A conundrum?
A conundrum. I don't even know. I decided to use a Q
You
word.
could have said it's a quonum.
Well, okay. So we had 2 words already, quality and quantity.
Yep.
But I really wanted to do the word question. And we could go really deep because, real quick, you could ask a lot of quality questions and you could ask quantity of questions. And I think that's how you're going to live your successful life, too.
We're back to this idea of equipping you for success, and how much better can you be equipped for success on the intellectual path, the emotional path, the financial path, than understanding how to question all things.
Well, Steve, you've got 6 kids.
Yeah.
What?
I question myself for that.
No. What do they always say to you? Why? When they were little, why?
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 It always came back to because God created the earth. Every time. Why did it always goes back to it because God created it. Just
You know what my least favorite thing was when I was little? Why? Because I told you so.
I've
And
used that more times than I would like to admit.
you know what? I would say to my son, Michael, I will always question everything. I've always said you question respectfully, you question boldly. Don't let people tell you what to do, but you have to be respectful. And I said, but when mommy says, because I told you so, then it's time. Mom's tired and done questioning
I got
now.
news for everybody out there who's over the age of 18. Question it, because that life belongs to you, nobody else.
You know what?
You.
Every kid should ask why and why. You know what? It's okay especially if it's respectful. You know, there's so many people that I'm sorry to say this, but our public school systems, they're just grinding out. I just feel like the Soylent Green. Where they're
Don't blame the schools, blame the parents. We'll do another show.
We'll do
on
another
that.
show on this. But you know something? I don't know if schools teach children what to think or how to think. That is why I've been emphatic with my son. Always question your teachers. Don't ask them why you have to read this book, but always be respectful. You're supposed to question everything. How many business meetings have you gone to? We're going to make you $25,000 in a month. Just buy our program. Okay.
Right.
How many people just do it without questioning?
Oh, too many. That's what started me doing the whole SAFE thing, because people were going out to these charlatans who give speeches and go, give us $2,000 for a weekend and we'll make you rich. And I'm like, no, the only person you're going to make rich is the operator.
Right. And so here we are. We want to equip our listeners for success. Steve Beaman at the Steve Beaman Show and Carol Ann Parisi, we want to equip you for success. So part of your equipment for success is to question everything.
Absolutely.
Boldly.
Question it. And the biggest questions, by the way, as you grow up go back to Maslow's hierarchy, as you grow through that, do you know the biggest questions you're ever going to ask are of yourself?
Of yourself. Why am I doing this?
Why? And I'm not going to ask somebody else why. I'm going to ask me. Why do I think this way, believe this way, feel this way, act this way, operate this way?
But that gives a certain quality of life, Steve.
That's
when you
exactly
ask
right.
those questions, those compelling questions, why am I acting like this? Why did I say that to that person?
Oh, and that can be on the emotional path a little scary, because when we start to ask ourselves these questions, we're sitting there going, I don't want anybody to know the answer to this one.
No, you know what? I don't think it's scary. I totally think that's equipping yourself for empowerment and to
absolutely is.
live that holistic, successful life.
When you do physical exercise, you have to destroy the muscle to make it stronger.
Absolutely.
When you go down this idea of questioning yourself, and it hits the emotional path really hard, as you tear yourself down, you come back stronger.
It's that ego thing. What is ego? Edging God out. If you just come from a place of ego where you're always right and you can't look at yourself and be accountable to yourself, how can you be accountable to your creator?
And you can't be accountable to your family, your friends, or anybody else. So you've got to get comfortable with who you are, and you do that by having quality questions and then broadening out with the quantity of quality questions, because you never stop asking. We ask more and more and more. We never stop asking.
So today we had like a triple play. We had quantity, we had quality, and we had questions
So
for our
remember,
keyword.
last week we had 2. This week we got a triple play.
Yeah, so yes, but we're not going to do 4 next week, because what's next week's R.
R's easy. Is when we get down to like Z that I get worried. But so, folks, as you go through your day again and you take away, and I talked to a lot of people who say when they hear the show, they remember the word of the week. Question. Question yourself. Question your environment. Question your faith. Question everything about you so that you come to a truer understanding of the path and the journey you're on.
Question boldly. So what's I'm going to question you boldly, Mr.
Boldly
Beaman.
go where no one else has gone before.
Okay, we're going to have, coming up next, we're going to have a Q word. What is that word going to be from the Master Your Money
We're going
segment?
to talk. We talk about how the state of the world and all this stuff. So this time we're going to talk about quantitative easing. What is it? When is it? Why is it? Did it work? Didn't it work? And what does it do to you? Because if we're equipping you for success, this all drills down to you, and that's what matters. So on the Master Your Money side, we're talking quantitative easing. We just finished tax time, and I know, like me, many of you are thinking, wow, this gets more complicated every year. I'm Steve Beaman, and my friends at Grebe & Associates have been helping individuals and successful businesses for over 20 years. In construction, they say measure twice and cut once. In accounting, trust me, research and plan before you act. When you need powerful tax and accounting advice for you or for your business, contact Grebe & Associates at 630-653-3510. Visit Grebe & Associates.
Now, back to the Steve Beaman Show for insight on your money and the nation's financial future.
And that's the part we're going to do, your nation's financial future, because there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings out there. But I do want to say this segment is sponsored by the Society to Advance Financial Education, a 501c3 organization devoted to being your friend in finance. If you need help on your retirement plan, your kids' funding, whatever you need, reach out to safefinancial.org. We are all about equipping you for success. In fact, if you're walking down the street and somebody says, did you listen to the Steve Beaman Show? You can say, yes, it equips me for success.
That's a good thing.
That's what it's about.
Yes.
So as you're thinking, that's what we want you to say.
And you are qualified to do that. We are qualified.
We are. We got a lot of stuff in our background. So,
well,
yeah.
You are, a certified, you've done
I've
so
spent
many
30
things in
years of
finance
my
and
life in
business.
finance and entrepreneurship and attitude stuff. I've all of that is in my background. You're a certified personal trainer.
Certified
so we've
life
got,
coach.
I think we need to I need to go back to school and get a master's in psychology, a master's in health, a master's in education, and a master's in divinity.
You don't really need to do that. You could go
But then I'd be a qualified expert in all of them, and I could testify before Congress.
Oh, well, okay.
Anyway.
All right. So
Yeah.
you know what I want to hear about, and I got a lot of questions on this. I just think this is a bad thing. Quantitative easing.
Okay.
QE1, QE2, all this
right.
stuff. What are we doing? Why are we
Let's go
doing
down
this?
what is going to get hate mail and get people all fired up, and it's not designed to. This is just education about what's going on. Okay, here's what.
And let's be really clear.
Right.
I don't know anything about this. I love Steve. So if I sound like I'm getting crabby with him, it's because I'm coming
Feel
from
free.
a place of fear. I don't understand this, but I don't think it's good.
And we're going to take a PhD program and cull it down into about 3 minutes here. So let's get on that rocket ride and go. Okay, the market in 2008, the banking system froze. Right. What that meant is banks wouldn't lend money to anybody.
Well, that's because they were giving any money to anybody that could fog a mirror beforehand.
No, it's not. That's no, the mortgage industry was not the bankers.
Okay, but the mortgage industry, who was making
It's
mortgages?
part of it. It was part of it. But the big banks, in effect, seized up. So they said, we're not going to make overnight loans to other banks, and we're not going to make overnight loans to big businesses that make their payroll on bank loans.
But didn't we, the American people, bail them out?
That's not even where we're going.
But isn't that part of it?
No. What happened here is the Federal Reserve, for all of their faults, and I'm not a huge fan of the Fed, but I know what really happened. The Federal Reserve came in and said, we are the only institution in the world that has the ability to provide liquidity to this system so you don't have to seize up. So the Federal Reserve stepped up and said, instead of crashing the U.S. economy and putting it into the Stone Age, we're going to go ahead and keep it going. And we're going to put liquidity into the system. And that's what the genesis was of
Isn't
the
that
quantitative
just
easing.
firing up printing presses, though, and creating more debt for our future?
It doesn't create debt.
What does it create?
It
Treasury bill. I mean, it's.
No, what they effectively did is they said, we're going to use the power of the Federal Reserve to create money. Okay, and that's what they do. They moderate the economy by tightening up money or creating liquidity in the system. They said, we're going to create liquidity in the system by buying government bonds and corporate bonds and lowering bank reserves.
So they're buying government bonds, but isn't there a relationship between government bonds and them printing money? Isn't that what
They don't print money first. That's a mistake. It's a
Okay,
credit
right.
system.
It's
It
a
just
credit
puts electronic
system.
credits.
Right.
But yeah, from 2009 to 2015, the Federal Reserve expanded its balance sheet from $1 trillion to $4 trillion. Okay, that's a lot of money. Did you notice your standard of living go down? No, you didn't.
I didn't notice it go up exponentially either.
But had they not done that, it would have gone down, I guarantee you.
All right,
your
so-
restaurants would have been closed, your shopping malls would have been closed, unemployment would have been at 25%.
Because the small mom and pop shops didn't have the resources.
Because the big companies would have folded. Had they not done it, IBM would have gone down, McDonald's would have gone down, GE would have gone down. This was potentially catastrophic.
Armageddon.
It really was. People don't realize how close we came. So for 4 years, they expanded their balance sheet. They've actually been contracting it back lately.
Okay,
They're shrinking their balance sheet now.
So I'm still not a believer in all this. I'm still not convinced.
What would you have done as an alternative?
What success tool can I walk away from hearing this today?
Here's the important thing about this.
Thank you.
We've talked about the headline effect.
Yes.
Don't buy into the headline effect. If you listen to any news source, whether it's ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, CNBC, MSNBC, Fox News, Alex Jones, whatever you listen to, don't listen to the headlines they put out there. Entertainment organizations, look to the data. People always say the Fed is a hidden organization. No, they're not. You can go right to their website and see their financial statements. It's wide open.
Can we do a show on the Fed some point?
We absolutely can. We'll talk about the good and the bad and the ugly.
Good.
But quantitative easing started because we all like the economy we have.
Right.
It came within hours of melting down to a point that the Western societies as we know them would have been gone. They had no choice. Now, did it just postpone the problem or did it fix the problem?
Did we kick the can down the road?
We absolutely did. We said, not now, kick. But the question is, can we unwind it? And that jury's out. They are shrinking their balance sheet again. Okay. We have not seen inflation come in. We had some in the 2012-13 period, but it's come way down.
Okay, will that subjugate us to inflation and higher interest rates moving forward? Would that be the success tools?
It wouldn't touch the interest rates because the Fed's balance sheet doesn't affect that. Government debt does affect that. Eventually, you got to pay that off, everybody thinks.
Okay.
So, yes, there are laws of economics that debt must be settled. And I don't like the $20 trillion in debt we have. But the Federal Reserve does not create that debt. That's the U.S. government. They are separate organizations. The Federal Reserve is owned by all the banks.
Oh, here we go. This song is so apropos to me.
If you want to
Money
start
for
a bank,
nothing.
you have to buy shares in the Fed. I mean, that's the way it works. But we all like our banks, right? They pay for our cars and our houses. So, hey, listen, when we continue what we're doing, we're going to talk about Master Your Life.
Welcome back to this great edition of the Steve Beaman Show. This is Carol Parisi, and Steve Beaman and I are here. And during the break, we were talking about the Fed, but we won't even go there. What I do want to talk about is Cherry Bundy Cherry Juice. They are one of our great sponsors. Ask for it by name at your local retailer.
And write Carol at stevebeeman.com and ask her for a coupon.
Coupon for Cherry Bundy.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, what did we talk about today?
Okay.
We had a quandary.
Everything we're doing is about equipping you for success. So let's talk about what we did. We talked about this question that we all have, the Q issue, quantity versus quality. And that carried through the entire theme of the program. So when you go home, you learned 3 things in the exercise world. You shared those with us, Carol?
I could share them again. It's your 3 components of fitness. It's strength, it's flexibility, and it's cardiovascular fitness. And if you have quantity and quality, mostly quality in all 3 of those areas, you're going to live a longer and healthier life.
So we definitely helped you there. When we went to the Q word, the word was?
Well, it was question.
Right. So, and the ultimate question is of yourself.
Yes.
So as you go through, and that'll lead us right to this week's challenge.
I was we didn't even talk about this. We must be on like some total
We're like in the zone.
We're in the zone, man. All right. Why don't you say what the challenge of the week is?
Every week, we want you to do something to be a little stronger on that path to success. So this week, we would like you to question one thing about the way you are. Just one thing, but be honest about it.
Well, I tell you something, you got to do that. You got to do that. You could do that a lot. I mean, even being in the grocery store and when that lady in front of you is taking her time with the coupon why are you getting mad about that? Really? That extra 3 minutes is...
It's all of it. It's why am I upset when I get up in the morning? Why am I complaining about this day? Why am I not working as hard as I want? Why am I not exercising? All these things. Pick one.
Pick one.
And just be
Focus.
really honest and go, you know what? This is part of my life. I'm just not there. So I want to question it. And then with passionate purpose, go down the line to make myself believe something better.
That's actually a good equipment. Now, Steve, we talked about quantitative easing.
Yeah, there's a lot on this, folks. The banking system, again, you go to school for years and years to learn how it works. I know people in the Fed. I've had lunch with them and talked about how the Fed expands its balance sheet. They don't even fully understand it. This stuff's really complicated. But I want you, again, I know we hear all the negatives and you go out and you hear the politicians and the news media. And again, the internet journalists say, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. They've devalued our dollar for 100 years. Folks, we live in the wealthiest, most prosperous free time ever in the history of the planet. You've got more free time, more health, more food, more shelter, more everything. How bad is it really?
Well, you know what? And you know what? You've got the Steve Beaman Show here every Sunday, and you could listen to us online, and we're here to equip you for success.
Absolutely. You go up to stevebeaman.com. You can watch the video. You can see our articles. You can communicate with us. Again, Carol at stevebeaman.com is a better email than Steve at stevebeaman.com because she's better at responding. Sorry, I just try my best, but I don't get there. So as we look to next week, and we hope you'll join us there, that word is you. So it's going to be the You Show. Wait, Q-U.
Q.
ABCD. QR, sorry. I'm okay. I went to school.
Back to basics with the Steve Beaman Show.
Okay, yeah, that's
Alphabet
embarrassing.
basics.
That's on tape, too. Oh, my goodness. Even Jim Thompson, our producer's laughing at me. All right, you got me here, folks.
Oh, he was joking.
Oh, goodness. I'm thinking QU, right?
QU.
All right, we're going to come back for the R Show. We'll have to come up with some interesting theme to empower you on your journey of success using the letter R.
Some real help next week.
Real help for real people on a path to real success and real happiness, and that's going to get overused real quick.
So, Steve, this has been a great show. Went by too quick.
They always do, don't they? They just fly by. But we do want to thank Jim Thompson, our producer, for putting it together, and our sponsors, Cherry Bundy, of course, the Society to Advance Financial Education, our friend John Grebe at 653-3510 in the 630 area code. But as Carol and I do, because this show is about you, from our hearts to your hearts, we wish you blessings in the week ahead and Godspeed to you as you travel down your journey to better success. And don't forget to check us out at stevebeaman.com.
Bye-bye.